Please welcome to the stage Bjorn Forsberg.
Hello. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Bjorn. I'm a Shopify app developer, originally from Australia. My dad's Swedish, and to make things really confusing, I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. But today we're going to be talking about making good apps great. But quickly, I have 4 apps on the Shopify App Store, 45,000 users, and an average rating of 5.0, and that's over 1,600 reviews. So something I'm very, very proud of. It's taken time. I've been doing this for over 7 years now. And I'm a company of one, so I do everything from design, development, support, everything myself. Which kind of brings up the question, why the +2? Why is my company name Forsberg +2? And it's these 2. And technically it should be 3, because my wife was part of the original +2 until our youngest came along. But obviously, my whole goal with having this business is to spend as much time as I can with my family. So I always try and build my apps to be as easy to use as possible and reducing support as much as I can. So yeah, making good apps great. And another way to talk about this is something called time to value. How quickly can you get somebody to reach the goal that your app is going to help them with? Obviously, the whole point of them installing your app is to use it and get to some particular goal. And we're going to go through 4 different sections: smooth onboarding, creating a familiar UI, helping users reach goals, and then showing them the value to the different types of users using your app. I'm not the only one that thinks time to value is important. Ben from Privy said this as well, and they are the #1 ranked Shopify app. They're huge, so it's obviously important to them as well. Now, smooth onboarding, it's really about, it's the first interaction that these people are going to have with your app. So if the onboarding's no good, you're going to have a tough time keeping them around to show them the actual value of your app. Now, you can do this through reducing or always showing the user the path forward. They should always know what the next step is that they should be doing in your app. And you can also help them by setting really smart, specific user defaults when they install your apps. Now, throughout this talk, we're going to be using my app Orderly Emails as an example. It's a design tool to customize and improve the emails that Shopify is sending to your customers. So all the transactional emails. There's 22 different emails, and it works in the same way as a Shopify theme. So you pick a theme, you customize it, and then you buy it for a one-time fee, and it spits out the liquid that you then put into Shopify. So the app doesn't send any emails, it just helps you to design them. So making onboarding easy. We want to show them what to do next. And obviously, blank slates is a really easy way to do this, but you can't use blank slates everywhere. It's only for the starting interaction. But you can still use the concept of showing them one specific thing that they should get to do next. But obviously, that's not quite enough. You have customers using your apps from all over the world. Before, it was more European, North America, but now it's all over the world. And each of these people have different needs. They sell different products, they have different laws, different pricing, different taxes, and of course different languages and cultures. So you need to think about them separately. And for this, the shop data is your friend. Whenever you have an app or a merchant install your app, you get access to their shop data. And obviously you shouldn't be asking questions that you can already get the answer to. You can get things like weight format, but some of the things, especially the country that they're from, is the most useful. So setting smart defaults doesn't mean that you give every user the same true-false value for a particular setting that they've got in their app. It means you need to take the time to research each particular country and find out what the differences are. Date formats are an excellent example of this, where in the US, my friends in the US like to put the month first in their dates. We like to put the day first. And you can set that, obviously, based on what country they're from. So you do some research, you make sure that you're setting the date automatically. And the idea is to reduce the amount of decisions that the user has to make. And not so much that, yes, they can see the setting is there, but you've removed it entirely from their thought process because you've done the research, you're the expert. Don't ask every user to set the same setting. Another great one is addresses. So in Canada, for example, you'll say the number of the address first and then the street name. So 18 Elgin Street. Whereas in Denmark, you'd say Elgin Street 18. Now, something like this is important to somebody in Denmark. They don't want to be sending emails with an incorrectly formatted date to their address to their customers. So by taking another decision and making sure that your app actually understands these differences in cultures and formatting and things like that, you're reducing another hurdle for people to get over. And the more of these things that they don't need to think about, but just intuitively know that, yes, this is what I need, the faster they're going to make progress in your particular app. And again, you're the expert, so you should be making these decisions for them and removing these thoughts from their process. Now, setting smart defaults isn't going to get you everywhere. So you'll also have particular questions that are important for the person to get value out of your product. Translations is a big one for me, where to translate the Shopify emails is a big task. So people using your apps, or my app in particular here, they want to know, can I translate it, and how quickly can I do it? So we ask this question early in the process so that they can see that they're making progress really quickly. So it's the first thing that comes up when you load up the editor. It asks what language, and it translates all 22 emails into the language that you've chosen. And that just really helps them, like, wow, I'm going to invest more time in this because I can see I've made progress really quickly already. So any app that has a customer-facing language, even if it's like a small button on a subscription dialog that pops up on the website or something like that, you're the expert, so you should have translations because you know what you're trying to convey with that particular button. And you help the merchant in not having to sort of think as much about, right, what is the correct word for me to use here? If you've done the research, then you can help them on that. So providing a familiar UI is really all about don't reinvent what already exists. Now, Polaris really helps us with this on Shopify. It's a great reference, even if you're not using React. I don't use React, but I still use Polaris a lot. And making I would say a familiar UI doesn't have to be exact. You just have to reuse the concepts that they've already learned, so they don't need to relearn your UI when they're using it. Now, my app Orderly Emails, it needed a theme editor. That component doesn't exist in React, so I used the admin as my guide. This is the Shopify theme page where you can see your published theme as well as your draft themes. So they already know how to use this. So when you come into my app, you see the same thing. I've changed the concept slightly, so you can see your purchase themes at the top. Generally, they only have one purchase theme, but you can have multiple. And we show a preview of that, and then you have your draft themes. It's free to try all the themes, so you only buy them once you're happy with what you've designed. So people do end up having quite a few drafts, and they can continue to work on those at different times. So we could take that concept of doing what Shopify is doing, even for components that don't exist in Polaris. And so let's see what the Customize button does on our theme here. So here you have the email editor. You'll notice that it's very much based on what Shopify does. You can preview the design. You can go in and edit settings or sections in the same way that you do Shopify website sections. You can rearrange the sections by dragging them. You can add a new section. And here we're going to add a discount. And this looks really fancy with all the, well, I think it looks good, but with the sliding in, sliding out. But it's really an illusion. It's a bootstrap carousel moving between slides. So this one is slide 0, and then if you go to the first section, it goes to slide 1, and then it goes back to slide 0. So you're going in and out. I thought it was interesting. I'm not a great developer, but I'm pretty creative sometimes. So, yeah. And obviously, mobile is important as well. My thoughts here is think mobile into the process as early as possible. It's really hard to redesign something if you didn't consider mobile as one of the starting goals. Now, designing 22 emails on a mobile is going to take some time, and I wouldn't recommend it. But if you want to just make some quick updates and things like that, then it works really well. Now, Polaris. As I said, I don't use the official React. It's too complicated for me. But there's a lot of other great content in Polaris. And my favorite section is the product content. It's what wording you should use, what tone, when you're describing features in your product, or how features work, the labels and things like that. You can make a huge difference to an app, which might be a really good app, but if the content isn't great, it's really hard to use it. If they don't explain what each button does well, then it's going to be really hard to use. The second one is the vocabulary. And I'd say this is this explains, for example, if checkout is one word or two. And that actually depends on how you're using the word. So it goes through all the words in Shopify and how they use them and when you should use each different word. And it's the fastest way to improve an app. Like, you could spend 2 hours going through the vocabulary, updating all the wording in your app, and it's going to be much easier to use and much more familiar to the users because they're coming from Shopify already, using the same language that Shopify uses. So that's a nice, quick way to do it. So, helping users reach their goals. And this is really about going beyond smart defaults and having a familiar UI. Think up ways that you can go above and beyond to help your users reach their goals. So it's about making things faster and easier. So Orderly Emails is designed to sort of help them customize their emails. So this is our website on the right. And you can see you can choose logo, typography, colors, and you have different background colors. But most merchants aren't designers. Some are, but most won't know what the hex codes on their website are. And to find out what these colors are, it's a big job for them. They might know what font family their site is using, but they won't know if the H2 elements should be capitalized and bold, right? These are hard things for them to do. So we can actually help them. In Orderly Emails, we'll have analyzed their website and present them a palette of colors to choose from. So instead of them having to work out the hex colors, we just show them, they click on it. And it differentiates between background colors and text colors. So if you're choosing a background, it's only going to show you the background colors from your website. If you're picking a text color, it's only going to use the text. And it does the same thing on the typography section, where you just click on the different typography that we've extracted from your site, so you know for the main title element, you're getting the right design there. But we can actually take it a little bit further than this. As I said, there's a lot of colors to choose from here. You'd have to upload your logo, choose the typography and everything else. So instead, I've built this magic designer. And when we press start here in a second, it will go out and actually analyze their website, upload the logo, work out what they're using, and then intelligently apply it to the email design. And if you notice, the button's round, I think is worth. Yeah. And that's got them 90% of the way there. They can still go out and change these colors and things like that, but you've got them a long way, and you're reducing that time to value, right? Their whole goal with this is to make their emails match their website, maybe add some upsells and things like that. So you're really reducing the time that it's taking them to achieve that goal. At the same time as well, social media profiles, you can, we extract those as well. So at the bottom of the email, there's a footer with the different social profiles, and we'll actually work out what theirs are and just update them as well. So you'll only see the icons that you've actually got a social profile on your website for. It's a nice little touch, I think. How does it work? I originally got this idea from a site called stylifyme.com. And you can put in any website, and they'll do a similar thing where they'll tell you what all the colors are. They'll extract a screenshot of it as well. And it's got a link to their GitHub. It's a bit outdated, but you get the concept of how it's done. Basically, you're using a headless browser. I use Google Puppeteer, which is the Chrome browser, but you interact with it with JavaScript. It's maintained by Google. It's fantastic. And so you can basically load a page and walk across it in JavaScript. You can say, extract me the CSS styles, and then you give yourself, you collect up all the styles you want into a JSON and return that into your app. You then have to do the work of actually intelligently applying that to the email so it makes sense. You don't want to put white text on a white background. But yeah, this will get you a long way there. And a tip, if you want to try something like this, is to use the product page on the Shopify website. The home page is too different between sites, but the product page always contains a add to cart button. It contains a H1 for the for the product titles, and it generally contains paragraphs and everything else you need. So you also want to show the value to the different groups of people that are using your app. So not all people are coming to your app with the same intention. You have many different types of users, and they all have slightly different goals. So with this, you have new merchants, for example, you have experienced merchants, and you'll have your agencies and the freelancers. And they use the app in slightly different ways, and you want to help or design features to help each of these different groups. And new merchants, obviously, they're there for the core use of the product. They want their website or business to have as professional as look as possible from the start, and the Magic Designer was really a feature for them to get them as far as possible. It's the core feature of the product. And that one feature increased the conversions of my app, at least, by 20% as soon as I launched it, just helping these people get there faster. Experienced merchants, they are coming to your app maybe to do more than just to rebrand their emails. They have sales data, they are making money and things like that, so they may be looking to do slightly more advanced things. So I added analytics to the app for them, so you can now track all the opens and clicks in your transactional emails, which has generally been a neglected area. Everyone tracks their marketing emails, but they don't track all these emails, which can result in a lot of upsells and returning customers as well. Placing, for example, a discount code or recommended products or something like this in some of the emails can have a big impact. It's secondary, of course, to the overall core use of the app, but it's still very valuable to a certain group of users. What it does is it pushes the data back into Shopify. It uses the marketing events API, which is basically a way to tell Shopify you're going to be sending them traffic with certain UTM parameters. So it adds information into the reports, onto the order page. You can see where that my app actually created value for them. Somebody clicked a particular link in the email and made a purchase. And this also shows them the value of my app, of course, so they'll recommend it to their friends or other agencies and things. So we're showing them more value. One side effect of that was I won an award for that particular feature last year at the Shopify Commerce Awards. But that's, on a personal level, that's been really good for opening up opportunities for me, brand recognition, and maybe allowing me to stand here, I'm not sure. But now agencies, they have very different needs to your normal user. And a lot of app developers want to get their app into the hands of agencies, but I haven't always been good at actually thinking how they're using my app. Generally, they're trying to show value to their clients. So, they're not using the app for themselves, they're using it on behalf of their clients. So who do they need to show the value to? They need to show it to their clients. Now, generally to do that, they'll need to show these emails that they've designed with the app to the end client, and taking screenshots of 22 different emails, or sending them, even worse, sending test emails to them, and the client uses Outlook. You just don't get the same experience. Email is very, progressive enhancement style design. But they need to get feedback and sign off on these emails. So I added one simple feature, and it's just a screenshots. They click this, enter their email address, and the app will generate all 22 desktop screenshots and all 22 mobile screenshots for them in high resolution, and email them a zip file with it. So then they can take that to their client, show them what they've built, get their feedback in a nice, easy process, make updates if they need to. And once this fits into an agency's workflow, they're going to continue to use it. I know there's certain agencies that have this app as part of their proposal, so it's just really a checkbox for the client to say, yes, I want customized emails. Another side effect is that you end up with nice reviews, of course. Making apps easy to use helps everyone. Orderly Emails has roughly 400 reviews, with an average rating of 5.0 as well, which I'm very, very happy with. So to wrap things up, reducing the time to value really makes good apps great. Thank you. And questions? Perfect, thank you. How do you design apps that are great for accessibility? How much of that is reliant on the Shopify platform? I'd say that this is not an area I'm super strong in. I've followed some guides to do this, and I know that if you're using the Polaris React library, you get a lot of accessibility built in. But because I needed to make the email theme editor outside of the admin, I couldn't use all of the embedded stuff that you generally have. Maybe you could with React and everything else, but it's something I would like to do better. I've focused a lot on doing accessibility better in the emails themselves. So the end customer receiving the emails, they are optimized a lot for accessibility as well, because email code is ugly. It contains lots of tables and things, and you can mark it up so a screen reader can read it a lot easier. But it's something I should be better at. If you don't use React, what do you use? Ruby on Rails, and a sprinkle of JavaScript on top to interactions and things like that. So it's a lot of it's small libraries, drag and drop for the section reordering. A lot of small custom functions. And then trying to do CSS transitions and things like that for smoothness and UI. How do you handle with customer service? How many hours are you spending per month replying to your users? Yeah, so if there's one thing I was going to get help for, it's probably customer services. But it's actually not that bad. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day on customer services, and then the rest of the day is for development. So, I think I've also focused a lot on making that process a lot better. So I use Intercom for chatting with my customers so they can contact me very easily. And the good thing about Intercom is that it makes that really easy. The bad thing is that it trains the customers to just contact me instead of looking for help in the documentation. So it's a lot easier to just ask a question than to go look for the question. So recently I found a little widget that takes over the Intercom launcher. And as soon as they launch the little widget in the bottom corner, it presents to them a set of articles that I've chosen for that particular page. So depending on the page they're on, they'll see different help articles, and there'll be a search there. There's still a big button to get in contact with support, but implementing that one across my 4 apps, it reduced my support by about 30%, which is a very good thing. And people are generally happy with that, right? People want to help themselves. They just want to find the information easily. So as long as you make the process of finding the information easily for them, then they won't contact you, and they'll be just as happy anyway. How do you decide what features to add next? Prioritization. I have a wall in my office which is painted with whiteboard paint, so you can just draw on the wall. And on that, I have a small chart which says effort, impact. And when I have an idea, I'll plot it out. How much effort is it to build this particular feature, and what's the impact of that feature on my business? So then I'll plot those out, and then I'll go for the ones that you're going to run out of low effort, high impact very, very quickly. So they're generally, nothing is there anymore. But then you want to go for the sort of medium effort, high impact, and just move up. Generally, every now and then you need to take time out to do the high effort, high impact stuff. But by plotting it out on this little grid, it makes it really easy to sort of see and prioritize in that sense. Yeah. Fantastic presentation, Bjorn. Can you send me the slide deck? I have to talk to Shopify about that, but generally, yes. The videos generally become available on YouTube after a while as well. So I'm generally always happy to share things. Have you experimented with pricing on orderly emails? Yes, I started out at $29, I believe. And then it was selling very well, and the price wasn't reducing sales. So then I moved it to $39, and price wasn't reducing sales. So then I moved it to $49, and then some people, and very rarely would mention, oh yeah, I'm not sure about the value of this. And I think, okay, that's the right price. Because if most people are still happy with the value, you've found the right pricing. I generally find it easier to go up in price because the people that have purchased before won't be upset by that. If you have a high price and go lower, then of course people, you need to manage those people. But pricing is a hard thing. You need to spend a lot of time on it, and it's worth changing. And people are generally, most people I've talked to at least, are very wary of changing pricing. But it's not that bad. As long as you do it in the right way, where you grandfather your existing customers, you give people notice, then you can run a lot of experiments on that as well. Are there Shopify writing style guides for languages other than English? I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't seen anything other than English, but obviously multilingual and localization is a big topic right now, so maybe. I'm really not sure. Yeah? So, unless we have any more questions, I'm going to say thank you. Does anyone else have a question? No? Thank you very much.